Okay, so let's think about this for a second. What if students weren't just passengers in their own education, but actually the ones behind the wheel? Today, we're going to look at a framework that's all about making that happen. It's about shifting from just listening in class to really owning your learning. So let's dive into the blueprint for this whole thing, a system called FRUPS. So, what is FRUPS exactly? Well, the acronym stands for the Future Ready Unit Planning System. And honestly, the name kind of says it all. This isn't just, a bunch of good ideas thrown together. It's a full on system deliberately designed with one really clear goal to put students right at the center of their own learning experience. And that right there gets us to its core purpose. A lot of educational models talk about engagement, right? But FRUPS, it's laser focused on something way deeper, true student agency. We're not talking about a nice little side benefit here. No, empowering students to make choices, to voice their own ideas, and really take the reins on their learning journey, that is the mission, the whole point. Okay, so if giving students that control is the big goal, how does the system actually pull it off? That's what we're getting into next. We're going to break down the core pillars that FRUPS uses to build that sense of ownership and, capability in every single student. And that's the big question, isn't it? It's one thing to have this awesome mission statement, but how do you actually make it happen in a real classroom, day in and day out? Well, the answer is in 5 key elements that all work together. All right, here they are, the 5 big pillars. First up, you've got agency and voice, and that's all about student choice. Then there's inquiry and critical thinking, which is really about sparking that genuine curiosity. Of course, you need collaboration for teamwork, and creative expression so students can share their ideas in all kinds of cool ways. And finally, ethical media use, which is so crucial for navigating today's digital world. Put them all together, and that's your blueprint for a future-ready learner. So everything really starts with that first pillar, agency and voice. And look, it's really important to get this right. This is not about some free-for-all where students just do whatever they want. Not at all. It's about being super intentional, designing lessons where students are empowered to make real, meaningful choices, share their own unique perspectives, and feel a true sense of responsibility for what they create. From there, the system works to spark that natural curiosity that, let's be honest, we all have. With inquiry and critical thinking, the idea is to get students asking the big questions, to get them tackling complex problems. And these aren't just boring academic exercises. We're talking about skills that they can take with them to navigate any challenge they face out in the real world. Okay, but to build these kinds of skills, you need the right tools. And this is where I think FRUPS gets really, really interesting, because it basically throws out the old rulebook on what counts as a learning resource inside a classroom. Just think about the traditional classroom toolkit for a second. Textbooks, lectures, worksheets, right? FRUPS blows that wide open. Here, a learning source could be a song, a piece of art, or even an AI assistant. I mean, that's a huge shift away from just static one-way information and towards something way more dynamic and engaging. And these new tools, they're not just novelties. They have specific jobs to do. A song isn't just background music. It can be the starting point for a whole history lesson. A painting isn't just something to look at. It could be the way a student explains a complex scientific idea. And AI tools, they become like these personal research assistants, helping students dig through data and find information, all while learning how to use that technology responsibly. All right, so we've covered the what and the how of FUPs. Now let's talk about the big one, the why. What's the ultimate vision here? What's the long game? It all comes down to connecting what happens inside the classroom to the world way beyond it. See, the end game here isn't just about checking boxes or mastering academic standards. The real goal is to give students these transferable skills, things like collaboration, creativity, critical thinking, that are going to serve them in any career, in any part of their lives, long, long after they've finished school. So how do we get there? It's actually a pretty clear path. It all starts with step 1, student agency, right there in the classroom. Then, step 2, that agency becomes the training ground where they actually develop those critical, transferable skills, which leads us to step 3. With those skills in their back pocket, they're ready to go out and thrive as engaged, active citizens. And really, this quote from the source material just sums up the whole vision perfectly. The goal is preparing young people to thrive as ethical, innovative, and engaged citizens in the world beyond the classroom. I mean, that's it. That is the ultimate impact that FRUPS is trying to make. So we'll leave you with this one big question to think about. When you really shift the focus from teaching to learning, From just giving instruction to fostering agency, what happens when every single student gets to be the architect of their own education? The possibilities there, they're pretty incredible to imagine.